Yes, here we are, another episode of Teach Me to Dad. I'm Kurtis. This week, I'm chatting to Phil West. Special shout out to those of you who listen to this in the early wee hours of the morning. Every week when I first put this out there, I know that when I wake up in the morning, I can see that some people have already listened to it, which means some of you are up doing like night feeds. Just need some content because you're up at 3 a.m. So shout out to you guys that are listening to this. Keep trudging on, doing the good work. This week, I wanted to talk to Phil. I wanted to do an episode about the first year, like your child 0 to 1 year old kind of thing, and how that goes, and how to think about being godly and pleasing God in that time, because that time's hectic. Like, I've got my youngest is still in the first year at the moment, so I was keen to think about that. And for a bunch of you who are wrestling through that time's a big shock to the system. It's hectic. Like, I always think the first year of the first kid is the most hectic year. And, it's hard to see what's what. It's hard to know what to focus on. There's a lot of decisions and anxieties and sleep deprivation and depletion of your resources and all of that. So anyway, this episode's particularly focused on the first year. So for some of you out there, you're thinking, man, I'm way past that. This week, look, you may find encouragement hearing a dad try to please God in that first year, but the applicability for some of you may not be there. But for some of you, this is prime because it's such a hard year. So I wanted to do it anyway. So for the rest of you, see you next week. But keen to get into this one. It's anyway, so Phil's a guy I want to talk to. I'll introduce him. He's a scientist guy. He does like research. He's a doctor. So anyway, talking to Phil, that should be good. If you know someone that would be good, maybe particularly someone who's in the first year of their first kid, send them this podcast. Hopefully it'll be an encouragement to them as they approach this, realizing they're not alone in figuring this thing out. Without further ado, Phil, teach me to dad.
Teach me to dad, I am a dad and I need to know. Teach me to dad, I'll never learn this by myself. Teach me to dad, I am a dad.
Phil West, good to have you.
G'day, how are you?
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I'm really excited you come. We can chat about these things. Before we start, I wanted to give people a bit of context for you and why I want to talk to you. So we've spent a bunch of time at church together and done ministry together, and so I've been able to kind of become friends through that and spend lots of time talking life and things in that context. And then you've started being a dad in, 18 months ago? How's Chloe now? 16, 18 months?
She's 18 months. So, August 22. Yeah, August 22.
Yeah. So, seeing you hit that phase, and so, I was keen to talk to you for, I think, two reasons. One is you've just come out of that first year.
That's right.
So it's fresh in your mind. And so I'm keen to talk about that particularly because I think that's a big moment, particularly the first run of the first year of being a dad. Big. So I'm keen to pick your brain on that. But I'm keen to pick your brain on that because I value your brain.
Great.
No, I just have a lot of respect for you and think you're very thoughtful and seek to live in a way that's godly and thoughtful and intentional. And anyway, so I thought, I'm keen to pick your brain on how this first year's gone for you.
Great. Sounds good. I don't know how much I remember because it was full on.
Yes. Yes. So to start with, Phil, can I call you Phil? Do you like to be called Dr. West?
No, you can call me Phil.
Yeah, good. To start with, take me through it. Take me through the first year. And maybe in chunks. Like, how would you describe 0 to 3 months when that happened? Like, how would you describe that? What was it like? What were the big things there? And give me it like chunk by chunk. First 3 months.
Yeah, I reckon first 3 months, when I think about it, I think challenging. That's the word that comes to my mind. It was hard work.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just 2 weeks into having a baby, which, when that all happens, it's very intense and quick, and you get tired really quickly because the baby doesn't want to sleep. But 2 weeks in, I got shingles, um, which was pretty rough. So I had this big kind of wound on my side that felt like a chemical burn, like a constant pain, constant pain. So that was pretty bad.
Pardon my ignorance. Is shingle the contagious thing? Did that make you a
It is
danger to the
contagious.
household a bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But only if someone who hasn't had chickenpox before, like
Okay.
like Chloe, for example.
She hadn't had it.
She hadn't had chickenpox. She was only 2 weeks old.
Wow. You got to expose your kid to these things to build up an immunity.
Well, it was more, if she, touched the scabs or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So not too much of a problem.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it was full on from the beginning, I suppose. And yeah, so yeah, pretty challenging from a physical perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
I found it stressful,
Yep.
but also
What was stressful?
I think going from being a family of two to having like very little sleep. I think it was just very stressful on my body, and I think just generally psychologically stressful as well. It was just intense, which I don't think is particularly unique to our story. I think maybe I just couldn't hack it.
Man, I reckon it was wild. Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt the stress, the constant decisions, trying to solve this problem that keeps screaming.
Yeah.
There's a problem, and just what do I do here? I remember that was particularly first time around quite stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think 0 to 3 was challenging. But also, awesome, like amazing. So yeah, 4 to 6 was, yeah, just settling in a bit, challenging because we had a baby who was, we thought was everything was okay and normal, but she was actually intolerant to cow's milk in Felicity's breast milk. So there was things around like her gut, and feeling sick and restless all the time, sort of thing.
And then what about that back half of that first year? 6 to 9, even 6 to 12, like that back period where you're getting a bit more crawling and sitting and that sort of things, and you're in
Yeah.
that phase. What was that like?
It was good. I really enjoyed that because I felt like that was my time to really connect with
Yeah.
Chloe a bit more than I guess previously. I think when she's kind of a potato lying there, it was possibly a bit difficult to relate or feel like I was useful beyond trying to rock her to sleep or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess as she was crawling and engaging sort of stuff, that sort of stuff meant I felt like, yes, I can now I can play a valuable role and participate and yeah, kind of really engage with Chloe. So that was for me, that was really enjoyable. I
Yeah.
really appreciated those moments, and yeah, it was kind of interesting, seeing how she would learn new things so quickly and look around and investigate the world. It was awesome. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I always liked the years as they get older, and there's a bit more feedback from your kid. Like when they're
Yeah.
a blob, it's like
They're just like,
it's all one way,
There's
and it's
nothing,
like when
yeah.
they can start smiling at you.
yes,
Oh, that's awesome! Like, and they
Yeah.
can laugh, and then they can move about. Like it's
yeah, very
It's-
special moments. Those
Yeah.
ones, eh?
and like it's just different. Like someone told me that like mums get like all the hormonal stuff that like they're born and they bond and they're bonded very quickly.
Yeah,
And dads have to learn. Someone said something like, dads have to learn to love their kids. Like, I think the person who said that said, yeah, it's probably a good 10-year process.
Oh man.
That's a bit long. But there is something about it that's,
Yeah.
as you can engage with them a bit more and get on, it's quite precious. Like,
Yes.
it's cool.
That's when
Yeah.
the connection starts to feel real
Yeah.
as opposed to, I'm supposed to feel this, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
And, yeah.
So the first year, what was the hardest? What things took you down the most? Was it sleep? Like,
No, I mean, sleep was, yeah, I think that was difficult. But I think for me, I think the big one for me um, was actually the loss of freedom, I suppose, was like a big one for me in terms of what I found personally difficult.
yeah.
Um, and I think becoming a dad actually revealed something to me about myself that I didn't fully appreciate beforehand, which was, I think I really value comfort.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I thought it made me realize, wow, like I can't just do whatever I want, and that is difficult, and I don't like this.
So what did you lose? Where did that pinch? Like, what things were you like, I just would love to do this, but I can't because I'm a dad. I'm a dad now.
Yeah, I think for me it was a few things, but I think some of the bigger ones were I would go exercise, I go cycling, most mornings, or I go to the gym or whatever. And suddenly, not that, not because Chloe was a particularly difficult baby or something, but I felt like I can't just go and do those things, whenever I please. I wanted to, help and support Felicity, raising Chloe. So stuff like that, but also things like, video games and, going out and seeing friends like whenever you want, sort of thing. Like that. I know it's kind of silly, but like it did get to me, like, oh, I can't just play this game or whatever.
Yeah.
I know it's like childish, but I was like, man, I really, yeah, that was kind of what drove me in life, was seeking the comfort of those things.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a big challenge.
Yeah.
And a big learning experience as well, which, I'm still dealing with and figuring out myself. But
Yeah, yes.
yeah.
So I was keen to get your thoughts on how did you kind of reset up life with a kid? Like, or have you even done that? But you know what I mean? Like, kid, it just throws everything out of whack because, like,
Yeah.
I can't do these things anymore. Like, life
Yeah.
just looks differently. Like, it's like, well, some things look different. Like, there's some things that it's like, this is just the necessities of life. I've got to go to work to earn food. I've got to cook food to eat food. Like,
Can't help it.
there's life
Nail
necessities and there's life luxuries and then there's things that you just proactively do because you think it's good to do. And it's like exercise.
Yeah.
That's like, I guess you theoretically could ditch it for a point and deal with the effects. And having a kid is a great way to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
But like,
Very
there's
good
all
way.
those things that are like, you've got to be proactive. And it's
Yeah.
like, what's valuable to me? You set up these things. Exercise, that's important. And going to church and reading the Bible. And, once upon a time, I'd set an alarm so I could get up early and spend some time reading. And it's like, now sleep is my most limited resource. And setting an alarm to lose sleep to get up, that's quite hard. Like,
Yeah, it's a
you got
big
to
loss,
reset
that.
up. You've got to reset up. How do I do these
Yeah.
things that are important to me to do? Like, how did that go in that first year, or even just through to now, kind of resetting up life in dad phase?
Yeah. Well, I guess you've kind of, as you were saying, I guess, you've got the essentials, the things that you can't escape, like work, which, you can't do much about that, unfortunately. But, so work, church was another one of those things where we were pretty early on, we were saying we need to get back. Like, that's part of our our routine, as part of our life. That we're at church, so we make that a non-negotiable for us. But in terms of the other stuff, I think it just for us. I mean, we're still figuring those things out, to be honest. But I think we're getting there. I think we're at a stage where uh, I'm seeking those, extracurricular things or whatever you want to call them, possibly in a more positive and helpful way for me as well. So, for example, like, rather than sitting on my phone all the time or playing games or whatever, like I'm trying to do things when Chloe's napping that are, at least positive hobbies, not just mindless activity and mind-numbing
What's a
games.
positive hobby?
Like, I've been trying to play guitar more, for example.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, I've been, Chloe goes for a nap. Rather than sitting on my phone, I'll get the guitar and I'll play with that.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just trying to do things that are, still enjoyable and nice, but, you know, not not completely pointless as well. Like doing stuff that's actually of value and worth, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, I think trying to include Chloe in some of those things as well. So, you know, I look after Chloe on a Friday, and we usually go for a bike ride together. Like trying to, include her in the stuff that I enjoy, so that yeah, we can enjoy it together. I guess has been
That's
kind of a
good.
nice thing that we've been, yeah, that I've been doing as we try to, I guess, rebuild
Yeah, yeah.
life and yeah, figure out what normality looks like for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Has there been things that you've tried that hasn't worked? Like, did you try like, oh, I'm going to set my alarm an hour earlier and go do some exercise? I'm going to set my alarm to 4 a.m.
Oh, I didn't try anything outrageous like that. No, yeah, I think I just neglected it completely.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, things that didn't work, uh, um, like figuring out how do we read the Bible, or how do I read the Bible myself, and also how we read it as a family as well, and that's you know changed as we've gone. Well, I wouldn't say anything's spectacularly failed.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
how's that changed? How's that? Have you found what works? When do you read the Bible?
so because Chloe's sleeping better, and we just our routines are just a little bit more better established. We're not we I used to be waking up like trying to prolong, the get up time as late as possible, but now it's, not too bad so that reading before work is manageable. So I'll, go and read by myself sort of thing. Which is yeah, definitely been a work in progress. Not something that's been happening by any, in any regularity for the last year or so, but kind of getting there, I guess, now, starting to feel like I'm actually able to do it and to enjoy it as well.
Hmm. Do you have to negotiate that step with Felicity when you both need to disappear to do these kind of things? Or does it just
Um,
work?
yeah, it kind of does just work, I guess, but we
Good.
do talk about it. Like, it's not like I just like I don't just magically disappear. Like it's, hey, I need to go read the Bible. Like I need to go do this. We've talked about that and, figured out what will work to enable me to do that. And we've discussed, what will work for her as well. But yeah, like I guess there is a bit of yeah, negotiation of we got to, let's tap out or I've got to go.
Yeah.
I've got to have a break or,
Mm.
stuff like that too.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you guys? Like, what is it like for you and Jityani?
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. I think we've gotten better with each kid. Someone once told us, oh, it was just a framework that super has worked for me, mindset. And they talked about when you have a kid, you enter survival mode, and anything that can be cut gets cut from life,
Yeah.
everything. And they talked about it like when people go survive in the wilderness, like that Alone show. You know that show Alone?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just like, how long can you go in the wilderness with basically with not much?
That's what
And
you went into.
that's what you go into. And when they go there, it's like the first day and the first couple of days, it's like preserve every bit of energy that you can. Don't expend any unnecessary energy. You're going to need it all because you don't know when you're getting food. You don't know when you're getting water. It's like max survival mode. Um, and then like once they've built shelters and canoes and fireplaces like they do on that show, it's like, have you watched it?
I have not watched it, but I
They
didn't.
dead set. They're
They build canoes.
They're building canoes and they're just cruising out. Like there's people that are masters of this. That's like, yeah, day one they build a shelter out of some palm leaves. And like
They're pretty comfortable early
day
on.
40, it's like they've built a substantial cabin with like
Log fire.
they're just, it's wild what they do. That it becomes not about surviving anymore. It's just a mental
Just
game.
about hanging out.
It becomes a game of like who's got nothing to go home to so they can stay here as long as they want. Like someone's gonna go miss their family and go home, and someone's like, I don't care.
I don't
I
mind.
hate my job. I'll stay here forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, but there's a shift that happens when they move from survival mode to just living in the wilderness, and it's like, I don't know when it is. It's like day 12. They start doing yoga in the mornings. You know, they start doing
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
And someone talked to me about that with kids, that you enter survival mode and you need to figure out when can you move to wilderness living, that's when it's like, okay, how are we both going to do exercise? How are we both going to read the Bible? Do these things that technically we can survive without doing, but we really need to get doing them. Like they're going to be really good for us.
Yeah.
And so that's been massive. I feel like for our first, James, man, I feel like it was like 2 years till we switched to wilderness living. Like it was long.
Yeah.
Harvey, maybe it was a year.
Yeah.
Goldie, I feel like we've thought about this pretty early, and it's like 3 months we're thinking, all right, we need to figure this out.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Like, we've got the idea. Okay, how are we going to do exercise? But for us, it's like, it's calendars, it's sit down, it's like, it's
Meticulous planning.
it's meticulous planning and negotiating so that no one gets neglected.
Gotcha.
Like, and it's so necessary. It's like, all right, when are you doing exercise? When are you seeing your friends? Like all these things. And it rarely goes according to plan.
Yeah.
But a plan means sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
1 out of 5 times the plan happens, which is good.
Yeah.
If there was no plan, nothing
Would happen. That's
So
right.
yeah. So that's a little bit what it's been like for us.
Yeah. Cool.
So I mean, some of it's changed for me now because my work is exercise, and so it's like I'm not doing exercise. I'm out pushing a mower all day.
Yeah.
Like
You don't need to do
I
that
don't need
anymore.
exercise. And like I can listen to things in the day, which is helpful. But it's still like in the morning, it's like, all right, if I can get up and just while I'm having my coffee, I can try and read something. I'm gonna drink a coffee in the morning to wake up.
Yeah.
Pair it to that.
Yes.
That'll help
Match
that.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
so you know, there's certain things that have been working to a degree, but man, it took us ages. I feel like to get there, ages. Yeah, it's very tricky. Yeah.
It's cool that it's become earlier on, I guess, with each kid though. That's
Yeah.
nice.
That has been good. Yeah, and I mean, Yanni's very good at pushing me to do those things, and I'm very bad at making sure I do those things.
Yeah,
I
gotcha.
think I constantly feel bad to bail to go do stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I do.
to have 3 kids running around and say, I'm just going to go next door because I need to read the Bible. I couldn't imagine either of us doing that.
Mm.
It's like, whoa, 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 slow down. Look around. This is not the time to disappear,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is all the time.
yeah.
It's never the time to
There's never a
disappear.
great
So you
moment
got to
for
figure
it.
something out. So
Mm.
that's cool. You guys figured it out.
Well,
Well, figured
yeah,
something out. Figured some
something.
things out. Yeah, yeah. That's a
Yeah, still
constantly
definitely a
evolving
work in
thing.
progress, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
no,
like
that's fair.
trying to make the effort to get something to work, get something working.
That's good. What do you reckon in the first year are the uh godliness challenges as a dad? Like the things that's like, man, this is where I really need to be on the ball because this is the uniquely hard. You know what I mean? What are the,
Mm.
that makes sense if I say godliness challenges
Yeah,
as a
yeah, it
term.
does.
Yeah. What do you think those have been in early kid phase?
It's a great question. Yeah, interesting one. Godliness challenges.
Well, like you gave a sense of one before that there's that uh personal comfort freedom thing. I imagine that's a challenge. It's the new thing, which uh it's the it's like it exposes just the natural selfishness in us because no longer can just do what you want to do for you. Yeah, I imagine that's very clearly a first year dad
Yes,
godliness
it
thing.
is. You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think that is a good one. And probably, yeah, the crucial one for me, because yeah, I guess it's a thing of, it really was and is a major idol for me, like a
Mm.
major place of sin, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
That desire for comfort and pleasure and doing whatever I please.
Mm.
That autonomy, I guess. Um, yeah, that was I think is was for me a key challenge, key godliness challenge, because it did mean I did have I have had to have I guess the conversation with myself like is this my God, or am I going to take responsibility and put others before myself, like, and not just think about myself and how hard done by I am that
Mm.
I can't just do whatever I please.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Like I know, yeah, like it sounds dumb saying it, but it's like
Nah, I totally get it. I found in a similar in a different way, but the same sin of selfishness. I found just in the there's a lot of demands with baby and a lot of things that need to be done. And it's
yes,
like there's a nappy to change and there's a kid to console and bounce around with for an hour. Like there's always things.
yeah,
And like the challenges of like it's 2 a.m. and I've been woken up to a scream. Man, the selfishness that runs through your head of like, wouldn't it be great if they dealt with this one? Like, man,
oh,
I'm
I would be a
like,
liar if I said
you
that's
know what I mean?
never been a thought.
It's
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
man, before I had a kid, I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm a servant-hearted kind of guy.
Yeah,
Nah, nah,
no way.
nah. No way. Like, once that's demanded of you again and again, it's like, oh man, I don't have much in the tank. So I don't want to do this one.
Yeah,
They, who also has nothing in the tank, they could probably hopefully do this
yeah.
one.
And let's be
Um,
honest, they probably have less in the tank, like
way less in the
way,
tank.
way less.
They're doing all we're doing, but literally have their nutrients removed from
Yes,
them.
exactly. Yeah.
Just to mention one thing. Like,
But you're right. Like,
yeah,
yeah, that's yeah,
yeah,
definitely been a thought on my mind before.
yeah. Like, that is, what do you reckon? So on the flip side, what's godliness? What things have you tried to do or wish you tried to do to be a godly dad, husband in that early phases?
Yeah. Well, I think the big, yeah, I guess, yeah, one of the ways I've been trying to be godly and helpful in those things, is thinking All right, well, we've got, a new member of the family, like, it's kind of new beginnings. Like this is also a time for us to, I guess, establish habits and think about what our family values are and what we care about. So like that's been a great opportunity, I guess, as a Christian to think, okay, how are we going to, raise our family so that, Chloe loves Jesus, that she doesn't grow up and have a confused view on what Christianity is or what it means to live as a Christian. Um, so I think it's been a big challenge, like thinking about my own personal sort of godliness, but it's also been a great opportunity as well to think about the family as a unit and what it would look like to be a Christian family and one where we Chloe would grow up to have a positive and right view of what it means to follow Jesus. That's not just you go to church and uh, you you go to church, but on the way home you're yelling at each other or
Yeah.
like kind of that kind of integrity life as well has kind of been on my mind.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean that's been interesting and I guess challenging in its own way of like trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and we've been trying different things as to how do we get into the Bible as a family. Also, how do I model being a Christian? How do I talk about various things? How do we watch the cartoons on TV or whatever? Um,
You're gonna be a dad that pauses and like discusses the worldview that's being communicated to your kid. You're like, no, you see that? Yeah.
Maybe.
Peppa
No.
Pig said, "I need to follow my dreams." Now, let me like. Do you reckon you'll be that kind of dad?
Mm, I hope
I'm
maybe
gonna,
in a.
I'm gonna be so annoying. My kids are gonna hate it so much.
I did do it a couple of months ago. I don't normally, and I don't see myself being too. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know. But we don't watch a whole lot of TV with Chloe because she's really young. We don't want her to get too addicted right away. But yeah, like we watched there's an episode of Bluey, I think. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think it was Bingo was sick and in hospital, and Bluey, made up a whole TV, like a movie or something, basically with the moral of the story being everyone gets sick. It's just a natural part of life. Like that's just what happens. And, you get sick and you get better. That's kind of just the cycle of life. And I don't know why, but that really sat weird with me. Like there was a deficiency in that sort of message. And I said to Chloe, like, I just said, it's okay. When you do get sick, it's okay to be not okay with that. Like you don't have to just accept it as a part of life, sort of thing. Because sickness and hurt and stuff like that, they are unnatural. Like they're not features that are built into the world. They're a bug. And I don't know why that sat weird with me, but so maybe I will be that guy that dad who pauses and says, Peppa Pig, what they just said was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Here's what you got to
Have you
think.
seen Moana?
I have not seen that.
We were watching Moana the other day, and I was trying to figure whether I liked the message or not. It was Moana lives on this island, and like everyone, it's like a real like tradition island. Like we follow the traditions, and everyone has a role. And Moana like has this like inbuilt desire to like leave the island and head to sail out to the ocean. And her dad's like, "Don't do it. It's not safe." And she's like, "I'm
going anyway."
And she goes anyway. And she goes to find more. And I can't tell whether Moana is just rebellious, terrible, listen to your dad. Like, or if it's like, nah, man, sometimes there's more to life and you've just got to realize it. I don't know if I'm
Mm,
pro Moana's adventure or not.
yeah, okay. So complicated
It's
themes there.
complicated, but my kids, like, one of them's like, no, Moana, it's dangerous. Like, listen to your dad. And I
Oh,
was like,
that's
that's good. That
that's
was
nice.
that was great. It was really good. But the dad's real like super harsh and mean about it.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. So
they play it like it's good for her to go.
yeah.
Maybe it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's
Yeah.
a tricky one where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not clear what
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I haven't figured out what my thing on that will be. Um, are you a research dad? Like you're a research personality, as
I
in
am. Yeah,
and
yeah.
job,
Yeah.
like that's a thing. Do you research like child development and like do you have like a sleep approach? Like are you like
No.
I research things. Hey
So
Felicity, I've got this thing. We need to stop. Like we need to
no.
stop taking our kid out
Uh,
at 8 a.m. because that's the worst time research says to develop.
no, I
I
don't.
don't know.
My yeah, so I do work as a researcher. That's my job. Uh, but I don't do researching on parenting or being a dad. Yeah, I don't read too much. But Felicity does a lot of reading, and so she'll tell me all sorts of things. Um, yeah, she was, she was giving me some interesting statistics the other day about kids who, who are at childcare pretty much full time, and I think she said that there's a significant percentage more likely to have behavioral issues and end up in end up as in jail sort of thing. Like unbelievable statistics that
Yeah.
I don't know how exactly they figured, the scientists figured that one out, but
So,
all these wild
everyone's
things.
gonna be in jail in 20 years then.
Yeah, I think it was it wasn't, childcare is evil. I think it was more just like, yeah,
Yeah.
something like a really just bizarre statistic to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
But no, so yeah, I don't do a whole lot of research or reading on parenting. I've only read one parenting book in total, Family Discipleship,
okay.
Matt Chandler and Adam Griffin, I think it is.
Cool.
That's literally the only book I've read,
It's
and
good.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I really
What's the
found it
vibe? What's it
super
about?
helpful. It's
What's its thing?
about family discipleship. It's in the name. No, it's yeah. So it's essentially that idea of ra setting up a pattern and habits for your family so that your children are discipled and become and know what it is to be a Christian, and to live as a Christian. So I don't know if you've read it, maybe, but yeah, I think the three things is like time, moments, and milestones is like the big thing. Like they're the three things you got to look out for. So put in time with your kids and celebrate milestones and use them to talk about Christ and what it looks like to follow him, and moments is like taking split second moments to you know to use the opportunity to talk about Jesus or to model Christian living. And yeah, so like that's all I've read.
Yeah, cool.
Not a whole lot otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very helpful book. I found
Yeah.
that super helpful. One of the guys at church let me borrow it because he said this is great,
Hmm.
and it was. So found it super super useful.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Um, if you had another one, is there things you'd do differently? Another kid, not another book. Um, there's like if you had another kid and you did those first early, the early stages, you're like, and this is what I'd do this time.
Yeah, I think I'd. Yeah, I think I would. Um, I think I'd probably be a bit more relaxed, which would be nice. So hopefully not as stressed. Um, and I think I'd probably try to help more because when I reflect on, the early months, I feel like I was stuck in that really selfish sort of thinking of, oh man, I'm so tired and I can't do what I want, and it really got to me. Like, yeah. So I think, yeah, if I could go back, or next time, yeah, I think I would chip in more. Or yeah, aim to chip in more. Um, yeah, it's a very short period of time, and it's only, Chloe's only a year and a half, but she's not a baby anymore. Like, she's a very much a toddler running around, and she's talking and engaging with the world in such a different way. Like, it's a really short period of time. So I think I don't think I treasured it as much as I ought to have. So I hope, next time around, or, if that comes about, that I'd cherish it more and make the most of the opportunities rather than seeing it as a burden, which I think I did in the first time round in the early months. I do think I felt like it was a burden, which I regret. I think that was a loss.
Yeah. It's been really helpful, Phil. This has been so helpful. I'm really keen to. I mean, my way of learning is to just go away and chew on things. But I'm like, there's some stuff I want to go away and think about. Like, I'm still in a first year with a kid,
Yeah.
and so I'm thinking about this lots.
Yeah.
With Goldie. It's been good. I really appreciate being able to chuck these things around with you.
No worries.
It's
Yeah,
very
been
good.
fun to chat through stuff too, and I guess kind of useful reflecting too.
Yeah.
It's been good for me.
Yeah, good. Oh, well, unreal. Well, thanks for chatting. Wonderful to have you.
Great. Thank you.
It was good to sit down with Phil and have this chat. He's the only dad I know who's correcting the advice of Bluey. So thanks for helping us be discerning in that one, Phil. Lots I appreciated about this. I loved and admired his honesty as he reflected on himself in those first years. And the humility that came out, the desire to serve and help more, and honestly to self-reflect in all of that and how that's gone and what he'd want to do differently. That was a great encouragement. And knowing Phil personally, knowing that he's resting in God's grace, that it's for him, it's just that desire to keep going, to honour God in his parenting, his husbanding, is a real encouragement. There was things for me to ponder on around that area of selfishness and loss of freedom. That's definitely a reality when you become a parent. But his mindset of seeing that there's an opportunity for service in that. I think that was a really helpful insight. I'll put links to that book that he mentioned, which I haven't read, but Phil reckons it's good. I reckon it's good. Family discipleship. The three things: time, moments, milestones, as areas to help disciple your kids. So I hope you found that helpful. Maybe you could think about a dad in your life who's at this phase in the first year and think, how could I encourage that dad who's in the thick of it right now? Maybe you want to send this. Who do you want to send this to? And for you, what does godliness look like for you in this phase of your parenting? Let me wrap up with Philippians chapter 2. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but to the interest of others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus." See you next week.